Go to hardafseltzer.com today, click on the store locator, enter your city or zip, and find the nearest location closest to you. Welcome to Drinking Bros, presented by GhostBed.com. Welcome to Drinkin' Bros here on 9/11 with our good friend Rob O'Neill, who obviously killed Osama bin Laden, his brother Tommy. D'Anthony Holloway is here. Appreciate you guys coming out to Dallas today.
Thanks again for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Obviously great to be here.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Let's start with this. Do you remember where you were, Rob, on 9/11?
Yeah, I actually was, I was at SEAL Team 2. We were at Naval Special Warfare Unit 2 in Germany. We just finished a 40-day deployment to Kosovo, which we thought was the greatest shit around. Because pre-9/11, there was not going to be a war. We're never going to fight again. And so anything in Bosnia, Kosovo, anything, that's kind of what you're doing. And I went back there. We were kind of getting our gear done, and it was a Tuesday morning, sending emails out to people, and all of a sudden the tower got hit. And we're sitting in an operations station, and someone said, wow, apparently a small plane just hit one of the towers of the World Trade Center. And we were all looking at it like, well, that's a pretty big hole. Mm-hmm. It's a huge building, and we're trying to decide what happened in the second plane hits. Obviously, it's like, well, this is we're under attack now. So everything we thought was important before now just is not. Now this is turn the page, new world.
Interestingly, not too far away from you, at Dam Neck, I think the New York City SWAT team, like a big contingent of them, were down there training with DevGru at the time. Like literally that morning, they were in their training.
You're kidding.
No. And there's this story. I don't remember who the commander was. It was Red Team. I don't remember who the commander was at the time. I mean, it's 2001. Who the fuck knows? But on the way out, like, they're all pissed off, obviously, right? Like, New York SWAT is leaking out of there, and they're like, so there's some exchange between the lieutenant, I think the commander of the SWAT team, and the commander of Red Team, and he was like, you guys go find him and we'll go fucking kill him, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't, that's the first I heard of this. I didn't know.
Yeah, and as a civilian, I remember watching it on television. I was in Los Angeles, and I thought the same thing. I thought it was a small plane, like a Cessna maybe, that had kind of gotten loose. Because you see that in neighborhoods and things like that.
My old company commander's dad, Will Canada, my old company commander, his dad, who was the commander of that Air Force base in Carson, near Carson, crashed a plane into a residential community in New York. Like his engine just fucking killed. And it was like, it was one of those, like a 6-seater or some small plane like that. And so it happens all the time.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And that's what we thought it was. And it happened a couple times in Florida, in Georgia.
Usually it's into like the side of a house.
Yes.
Or a neighborhood or some shit like that, not the fucking World Trade Center.
But you always wondered if it was possible.
Yeah.
Well, the Empire State Building had been hit before. A bomber had hit that. So
the World Trade Center, yeah.
No, it hit the Empire State Building.
And, in 93, somebody blew up a van, tried to blow up a van. And
that happened too. But I'm just saying, like, planes have hit buildings before.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about the time, though.
Well, there's a reason they got those blinking red lights on them, right?
Absolutely.
That's why. Because sometimes it happens on accident.
Yeah, and then the second one hit, and then we were like, okay, this is a definite terrorist attack. Now,
once is a coincidence, twice is a pattern, I think they say, right?
Yeah, and you know, watching it unfold on television and then being in Los Angeles, the information on television, especially on our local news in Los Angeles, was so out of whack, where the flights were coming here. They didn't know if planes were going to land in Los Angeles.
And then they grounded everything, right?
Right. Yeah. But there were still some flights in the air. And then obviously Flight 93.
Flight 93 went down to Pennsylvania
Yeah.
when they were starting to send messages to people that, hey, there's hijackers on these planes or whatever. And you kind of... And that's one of the things that always inspired me too, was the Americans on that flight were kind of giving a message because the terrorists were taunting them, like, "Hey, guess what we're doing? Here's whatever, and you can fight now if you want." And that was what Flight 93 did. The United 93, the men and women on there just stood up and tried to find whatever the weapons they could, which could have been boiling water or the drink cart or whatever they could find. And they were down one guy, so there was, I think, 3 terrorists on that bird or whatever, and it was just time to it's time now. And that's like, it's a crazy thing to think about, that's one of your moments of time. It doesn't matter why we're here, we just are. And you can die or you can fight and die.
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
Yeah, and it was incredible. For you personally, since you were overseas, how long until you were brought somewhere else and kind of briefed on what was going on and potentially maybe what you had to do?
We came back home after that to Virginia Beach, and we weren't quite sure what we didn't know. We knew the world changed, but we weren't sure what the hell we're going to do. Because I was at SEAL Team 2 at the time, and I was going to SEAL Team 6. But right then, SEAL Team 6 was a counter-terror team, but there was no terror to counter. Now it's like, well, do they need me earlier? We don't know what's what. And even going back to SEAL Team 2, and I had to do one or two more years there to get ready to go to SEAL Team 6. Is one of the first times that in February of 2003 where someone came up to me. I was in air operations packing a reserve parachute. I'll never forget. And that's the first time one of my friends actually said, "Hey, did you know Neil Roberts?" And getting asked, "Did you know?" it messed with my head. Like, why would you say, "Did I know?" Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. What happened? Well, Neil Roberts fell off the bird, and that's when Red Team was in this fight with Al Qaeda, and they're on a mountain, Operation Anaconda, and Rangers go in, Army goes in, SEALs are fighting, and that was a legit moment where not only is it really hard, because I knew Neil Roberts. He was one of the first guys I met at SEAL Team 2. He brought me to Arby's for lunch one day. As a new guy, he didn't need to do that, but one of the finest guys I've ever met in my life. Did you know? No, he got in a really bad fight. I'm not going to talk about what they did to him when they caught him. But then it's like, yeah, this is a real war. And it's almost where you see like dudes as opposed to wanting to be a Navy SEAL because chicks dig it to now, I'm going to go fuck people up. Who's coming with me type. Again, turning the page of life from I want to be a SEAL or a Marine because it sounds cool. Okay, now someone needs to go fight these savages and I'm going to be the guy.
Yeah. And then for you, Dan, was 9/11 a big moment to get you to go to the military?
Yeah. I mean, I was considering it before. I was in college for the second time. But I was going to go into the military either way. I knew that in high school, but
that was the final nudge.
Yeah, it definitely moved my plans forward a little bit. I would say that.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then Tommy, with you, obviously your brother's overseas. All this is going down. One would imagine as a family member, you probably call your brother first. No, you want to get a hold of him.
It's funny because I was working. I was doing some afternoon radio, and then I was working nights as a poker dealer. So I was asleep late that day, and the notification I got was from Rob, a phone call overseas, which I remember the first thing he said, "Turn on the TV, any channel," and just thinking, what in the hell's going on? And then at that time, not realizing what was happening, how many planes were up there. What's my brother doing? What are they? It was just such chaos.
It was, yeah. That's what I remember most about that day is just chaos, not from only from everything that was going on the ground, but everything else in the United States. Mm-hmm. Well, because nobody knew how to react.
No, I remember thinking of the movie Executive Decision with Kurt Russell, where they had the VX gas or whatever headed towards the East Coast. I was thinking, we're over here. When's that going to hit? It could be anything, and it was just, awful.
Yeah, it was absolutely awful. And then watching the rest of it unfold, I think we've talked about this on the show before, but 9/12 was probably the most peaceful day in America where there was no politics, there was no nothing. Everybody got along. If you were working at a bar or restaurants, because a lot of people were huddled there, getting food or just having drinks with one another, consoling one another. You often wish you could actually go back as a country to that day, especially after debates last night that were so contentious.
There was unity. There was a feeling of we are all together in this. We're one, and that's gone. It's gone.
But oddly enough, we should have, instead of getting mad at Afghanistan or the Taliban, we should have marched on DC, right? Because that's where it came from, and whether through complicity or incompetence, one of the two. You know what I mean? We didn't know that at the time, obviously. We didn't know that like 60 members of the bin Laden family were ushered out of the country. We didn't know that we knew already that a member of the Saudi royal family had financed all that shit, right? By the third day, we knew that, right? And they obfuscated that truth until the middle of 2010s. So it's weird. I mean, I think that's where it broke down. Warriors need nothing but a reason and a pat on the back. That's all, because we're born to fuck shit up. That's just the way it is. So all you really need is a good cause, and then once you're done, it's like, good job, bud. And that'll be the end of it, right? Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. We get sent on fool's errands a lot, and which is unfortunate because we were the aggrieved party here. Like, we should have fucked some people up. They just sent us on kind of a silly fool's errand, and I think that's one of the biggest... if not causes, amplifiers of post-traumatic stress for people. Because one of the ways you deal with it is by like, all right, everything that happened there was for a reason. Nobody believes that about Iraq or Afghanistan, especially after August of 2021, right? Like just pulling out of there like it didn't mean shit that whole time.
Yeah.
Like if you ever feel useless in life, just know that we spent 4 presidents and $8 trillion to exchange the Taliban for the Taliban, right? I mean, what the fuck? So, yeah, it's difficult to come to terms with that shit now, frankly.
It is, and I think some of those files are still sealed, right? At the White House regarding 9/11? Dan?
Yeah, it's all sealed. Yeah, they'll never...
Yeah, I think everything's sealed too. That's part of the reason that they're going to try to assassinate Donald Trump again is because he's the second term. He will be a second-term president. And the powers that be, the lawmakers, whomever are in there right now, they realize the wolves definitely... Because he went in there first with the... lock her up type stuff. But once he got in power, he thought he could play nice because he's not a DC cockroach. He's a businessman. He thought he could be good to him. And Washington DC has fangs, and they will come at you and your family with it. And now the reason they're going harder and harder at it is because now he will pull the wool over and tell everyone what's actually happening. And they're saying just because it's the same names that have always been involved. It's the Clintons, it's the Bushes, it's the Gores, it's the same people that are there. And now they're even last night, I'm trying not to get as angry as we were last night, but it's like the whole we see hope and change. Like, motherfucker, you've been in charge the whole time.
Right.
I think a lot of the biggest threat that Trump poses releasing some of that information is that very good chance that a global peace breaks out because of it. And here's what I mean by that. When you rip the Band-Aid off and expose everything for what it is, then you can start killing the cockroaches. You know what I mean? The Bush family, not literally killing them, obviously. The Bush family, the Cheney family, the Clintons, all these people need to be just sent away. Put them on that Epstein Island they like to go to, and then put a big fucking blockade around it, a naval blockade around it. You live there now. You don't get to come over here anymore. No phones. Here's a coconut fuckface. But to the broader geopolitical spectrum, it would give MBS the power to root these Wahhabist cunts out of the Saudi royal family. They're still around. I've talked about this for a year now. He's been trying to drag that country kicking and screaming, Saudi Arabia that is, into modernity, trying everything he can with the sports washing, with live, with soccer, all that shit, with the Abraham Accords that they said that they would participate in, to shooting rockets down that are heading for Israel, right? All these things have happened under MBS. And the problem that he had, the major problem that he has right now is all the Wahhabists left in his family, like his literal family, right? Exposing all that information and saying exactly who it was, MBS will kill those people immediately. He'll kill them immediately. Not even that he disagreed that they were involved in 9/11, just because to save face. It's a machismo culture. That's the way they operate. You embarrass the family, you die. It's the way it works. And now all these Wahhabis who prop up with money the 82% of primary education facilities in Saudi Arabia that are madrasas, that is to say, death to America, go away. And they become a normal country, right? Just like Bahrain, just like UAE, become a normal country, Kuwait, so on. And then it's only Iran. It's only Iran that'll fund terrorism after that. They'll be the only ones left. And Trump already broke them once. We'll just do that again.
He'll do it again. Yeah.
And these people will fucking go away. Like there won't be any money left for terrorism after that. You understand? Like that is a big threat to Boeing and Lockheed Martin and General Dynamics and Northrop Grumman and Texas Instruments. It's a huge threat to these people. So they'll kill Trump if they have to.
Well, they were close a few months ago, and we'll see what happens. If he does go back in office and releases these files, will that give closure to anybody who is in the military or their families or who lost loved ones? If we actually knew who
that would be just the beginning, right? Like if we find out what we all know anyways, that Dick Cheney was the architect of all this stuff, that he knew that it was coming and let it happen, then he's got to die, right?
Yeah, but I think the way you're I agree with you 100%, Dan. Too, but he's got to die, meaning he needs to be held accountable.
Correct. He needs to be
hung.
walked to the gallows.
Yeah,
100%. I'm not
shooting.
No mob justice. It needs to be. It needs to be on television.
But like one of the things too, where the founding fathers, you betray the country, then you get executed.
Yes.
And he's one of those people, one of those families, and you can see the way they're responding right now. Again, not trying to get completely pissed off or whatever, but it's so sick at my age right now, seeing what happened, how they manipulated for personal gain. And even to the point where when we look around and people are saying like, well, the Republican Party, the Cheneys and whatever, and they are against Trump, it's like, and then they call us traitors because of whatever. Like yesterday, Kamala Harris said that January 6th was worse than 9/11, the day before 9/11.
Right.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
Not even close. And I don't give a shit about the people who are conspiracy theorists, whatever. Grown men and women jumped out of those towers. Mm-hmm. Something really happened. That's a real threat. And regardless of why it happened, it's a national tragedy.
Yeah.
And that needs to be remembered. And not just for a couple families who are going to get rich and then start different wars to get richer and richer.
When did you guys find out that it was Osama bin Laden? Obviously, as a civilian, we're watching it on TV later on in the future. Mm-hmm. We weren't aware of it, but I'm sure you guys knew pretty quickly.
March of 2001.
Okay.
When we were already talking about Osama bin Laden getting ready to conduct an attack inside the United States. He had just done USS Cole in January of 2000, right? His team had already fucking driven a boat into the USS Cole and blown it up. We knew he was planning on doing this. He was involved in the fucking 1993 World Trade Center bombing as well, right? It was just a matter of time. So as soon as they were like, the second plane hit, my brain's like, oh, it's fucking Al Qaeda for sure.
He declared
right?
a fault on
anybody that was
long time ago.
Anybody that was paying any attention immediately knew that it was Al Qaeda.
Well, I was talking to Tommy, even going back home to Butte, Montana, and I was explaining to you who Al Qaeda was and what they were trying to do and whatever. And I remember with the Club 13 in Butte, Montana, and I was explaining to people.
Oh, is that the big club there in Butte, Montana?
It's a nice club. It's one club I got. No, but I remember sitting there, we were BSing about it, and I said, yeah, there's a guy Osama bin Laden, Al Qaeda, that wants to attack us, whatever. And we're bullshitting with our friends, and they're like, yeah, well, you're just a racist. You're just doing whatever. And that's when I called you on 9/11. And I said, turn on the TV, and you said, which channel? I said, doesn't matter. Welcome to my world.
Yeah. You know who the real racists were, by the way? People who couldn't tell, like that dude in Milwaukee that shot up that Sikh temple. Like, really, you can't tell. Like I understand they're all brown, bud. I get it. But the ones who wrap their long ass hair up, not a problem.
No.
They're pretty nice.
They're
actually.
awesome, dude. They'll be good to your cows, too.
Yeah. Well, they won't kill them at least.
Yeah.
They'll worship them.
They might kill the geese. I don't know.
The geese.
I don't know about
the
that.
geese aren't safe.
Yeah.
But for us, I'm in college. There's no social media. There's no nothing. So, it's not like today's world where we have Twitter, Facebook, all that other stuff, and then somebody's picture is plastered everywhere. Unless you followed the news and unless you followed politics, every single day in hard copy. Because let's not forget, digital didn't exist during these. We didn't know it was Osama bin Laden until finally, boom, they slapped it up on TV. This is the guy. This is public enemy number one.
Well, the FBI knew 2 weeks in advance. And an FBI field agent in the Phoenix field office filed a report.
That's what I heard.
That specifically said Osama bin Laden is going to fly planes into buildings. Right? That's a real thing.
And is that released to the public?
Yeah, and the 9/11 Commission, the review, it's like, we knew all this stuff. We just didn't. The intelligence community and Department of Justice didn't operate together well enough for the information to find. It's like, okay, if you file a white paper that's a critical alert, that's a level 1 alert, anybody with eyeballs that's important should have seen it. So I don't buy that shit. You know what I mean? If you've got double source information, which is interesting because DevGru has these straps. They have a whole intel team that fucking do their targeting packages and shit, right? It's true for most groups like that. Same thing for the U.S. intelligence community here domestically. They provide that stuff to the DOJ all the time. The information we used to go into Iraq was from a single source named Curveball, which wasn't even a real person. They made it up as a source. It got made up as a source back in the day, as like a fake source to attribute some shit to I think it was to trick somebody somewhere, not inside of our own country, but like another agent. And then they started using this guy as a source for WMD in Iraq, but it was never even a real person. You understand?
Interesting.
Right? That's single source information. That's why you never use single source information.
Never use single
like you don't send these guys on fucking on Matt Blackhawks. with fucking mufflers on the wings or whatever, or on the rotors rather, into a place you don't know exactly who's there, right?
Yeah.
That's why they're so good at what they do. They show up and they know exactly what's happening most of the time. Shit like war is fucked up, but that's why you can build what's effectively a stage and run rehearsals through it for 2 or 3 days and then go fucking do the exact same thing and murder everybody in that building, right?
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be done. But you would never send anybody to a thing like that. Like,
Oh,
hey,
not like
fucking
that.
Jeremy's dad said there's going to be 3 Al-Qaeda dudes there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So let's spend literally $20 million sending DevGru. No, that's
Yeah.
not how it works. But we launched 150,000 soldiers into Iraq based on one fake single source. That's it.
That's wild.
And the receipts we had from selling them the goddamn weapons in the first place, I guess. But
Well, I want to go over. There was this rumor that 2 years later, I mean, and you guys were in at this point, that they knew where he was. They knew the mountain range that he was in and everything else, and they potentially could have sent bombs in there or groups in there to kill him, and didn't. Is that true?
yes,
Yeah.
I mean he was pinned in, right?
Yeah, because you got to figure there's a lot more to the story than people realize. And if you don't think that the ISI, Pakistani intelligence, was involved, that you're wrong.
Well, there's 2 halves of the ISI, right?
Well,
the United
There's
States,
a few of them.
the United States funds the ISI is Pakistani intelligence, like our CIA, I guess. But it's kind of like a combination of our CIA and our State Department, to be honest, which is probably the same here, to be honest, because they operate the same. But half, maybe not even half, but part of them just hate India. And they'll work with anybody to fuck up India.
Literally.
Like that, they don't give a shit about any of that
Hate
stuff.
India. Well, that's one of the reasons that we knew we were safe coming in that direction.
Yeah.
Because we're Afghanistan on this side, India's
Yeah.
on this side. So they're not watching over here.
Yeah,
They're waiting on India.
Yeah, they hate India. They hate it. Then there's the other part who are just all fucking terrorists. And I don't know if it's just because of the money, because we fund the ISI budget.
all
We
of them.
fund the entire thing, the entire Pakistani military, their entire intelligence community. We fund the whole thing.
So what would have been possible to get him 2
No.
years in?
No.
Okay.
No.
No, because they wouldn't have given him
No,
to us.
and
they didn't want us to get him in 2011
Well,
either.
we didn't even tell them we were coming.
Yeah.
in. I mean, there were 5 options before we went in to get Bin Laden, and 2 of them were unilateral with us, multilateral with Pakistan. And as soon as they told the operators on the ground, yeah, well, one option is a multilateral with the Pakistanis. Like, okay, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, when the guy's living in a
Never.
compound, what was it, like a mile and a half down the road from their version
Yeah.
of West Point? It's like, no, we better not tell them.
And the way the ISI works, which is their version of the CIA, is it's almost like if you could picture a cog in a wheel turning one way against another one turning another way and another. And then there's a Pac mill. So a lot of them have interest. If you go to that part of the world, Pakistan is the center of the universe over there. They run everything. They own everything. So they have interest in keeping Al-Qaeda at bay. So, yeah, we know Bin Laden's here. We're not going to give him to the Americans because we have nukes and we don't want Al-Qaeda overtaking us. So yes, they were watching out for him, looking out for him. And the reason guys like, not me, but guys who are in charge of teams like mine, smart enough to know, well, we can't tell Pakistan we're going to come kill Bin Laden because you're going to disagree with it, you're going to take him out of there, whatever. So there is so much more underneath the surface than what you think is happening on the surface. But Pakistan, 1,000% knew Bin Laden was there, and we couldn't tell him we're going to come get him. And part of our thing, too, is if and when we go in there and get captured, we need you to know that we were going to come get him in the first place. So now you need to, like, there's so much going on behind the scenes. And it's not just a bunch of knuckle draggers like me and Dan. It's all these
Nerds.
not smart, but well tie-wearing
Nerds.
Yeah.
Nerds.
Gotcha. Because, as the public, we've heard this story for years that, all right, we knew where he was 2 years in, and then why didn't you do something? And you guys are saying you couldn't, essentially, and that you didn't actually know his exact location?
No, we did. We could have.
He was in the Tora Bora area.
He was in Tora Bora
Right.
first, then he
Yeah.
and then
And that's what we had heard.
And then
we started
in
the
07, he was somewhere else and they dropped some
we started
bombs.
the counter-terror bullshit where we started saying he's on dialysis, started saying he's in the mountains. Just so Al-Qaeda and his guys, his bodyguards would say, okay, look, the Americans are so stupid, they're thinking he's on dialysis and living here. He's actually here when we knew the truth. So it's like paying a source. Okay, I give you $300 to tell me where someone is, and they'll come and say, okay, give me $300. I saw Bin Laden. He was definitely him. He's on a dialysis machine. Where we would pay him still, but say, hey, look, we know that's not him because he's not on dialysis because we fucking made that up. Mm-hmm. So it's a cat and mouse game the entire time. And if we did just kill him with a bomb, we just can't prove it. And which blows my mind too, because Now that we literally went and grabbed him after we killed him, then we allegedly buried him at sea. We can't prove that either.
Yeah. And which obviously we'll get to that later on. So we chatted about it on Sarah's show yesterday. Was there a decision on our behalf, on the U.S. government, to not go in there and do it because of that reason, or something else that they wanted to extend the war?
No, there was 5 options. That was it. They saw him walking outside. So it's like we can send unilateral, multilateral. We can bomb the shit out of him. We can hit him with one little bomb or something else. That's it. Or like drive in or some bullshit. And none of, the weirdest thing was that they said as soon as we get done with it, they're going to bury him at sea. That was never not an option. Okay. So but when we went to the Air Force about it, we're going to go in there with JDAMs. We're going to hit him with like 35 2,000-pound bombs at once. You're never like we're going to kill so many people around the area, which politicians don't care about because it's still more money.
Yeah, but the compound was 100, 200 feet away from other houses and shit like that. So not the best idea. Like
It'd be
a lot. It would have been a lot harder. It would have been a lot harder for John Cena to go on stage and like, we fucking got this dude, if we had killed 200 fucking civilians as well.
For sure. And that makes sense.
Especially in a country that we're technically friendly with, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we sold them the F-16s that were chasing us down when we were leaving.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Well, all that stuff.
We didn't give them.
We gave them some more stuff a little bit ago, too.
Well, we didn't give them, not Pakistan, we didn't give them the look-down radars and everything, but...
The look-down, shoot-down, we didn't do that, but we...
Give them everything else.
Yeah. Well, but and that helped. That's one of the reasons I'm alive today is because as we're leaving, and all of a sudden the F-16s show up, and all of a sudden some Americans and F-15s show up with like call sign Dude 1-2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you might know I will destroy you.
Yeah.
And I might not even wake up doing it.
Yep.
And for you, Rob, how long in until you get the call that's all right? We're going to send you out to, I'm assuming, Area 51 or wherever it is to train for something like this?
It was 3 weeks. We got the call in about April of 2011, and we were all on different training trips. Like my team was down in South Beach, Miami on a dive trip. We had guys out in Nevada on a climbing trip, and you can kind of tell, like, yes, you're diving, but you're in South Beach. Yes, you're climbing, but you're in Vegas, because we just finished. I think it was my 13th combat deployment. We're just training on Somalia. There's a mothership out there that's whatever. We're going to combat that, and all of a sudden we get a call that says, "Hey, we need the senior 6 guys here to come back to Virginia." And the guys from the guys were in Vegas come out here, and guys in Nevada come out here, and in Arizona, and then you go back in there, and we just finished a combat deployment, so it didn't make sense. But they were like, "Yeah, this is not a drill, but come back here in the back room." And there was 28 of us. They brought into a room and said, "This is not a drill. You're here because we found a thing. This thing is in a house in a bowl. This bowl's in a country. And you're going to go into this bowl, into this house and get this thing, and you're going to bring it back to us."
Do they tell you what the thing is in that meeting?
We asked what the thing was. They said, "Can't tell you." Cool. What country? Can't tell you. Which bowl, which mountains? Can't tell you. How are we getting there? Can't tell you. How much air support do we have? None. Okay. So 28 of us are going to, they said, no, 23. Some of you are alternates. And we have no, I said, "Oh, here's one more answer. No Air Force guys are going with you. It's all SEALs." So if you carried the radio before, you're the radio guy. If you carried the medical shit, you're the medical guy. So there's 23 of us and no parents.
So you had no straps at all?
We had, no, just us.
No, you didn't, like,
No.
That's odd.
That's what we thought. And so we started going through the thing like, well, what, if we're worried about pounds and ounces for fuel, what the fuck are we doing? We so we're like, it's got to be Libya. Got to be Libya. We're going to go to a flat top. We're going to fly off an Osprey, and Ospreys have shitty track records for crashing, so it's got to be an Osprey. Yeah. We're going to get Gaddafi, and we'd be down. So we're down there.
This is right before the Muslim,
right during
the Arab Spring, right?
During the Arab
like at the early part of it.
And so we're down there getting our gear ready, and like dudes would walk, like I was at Red Team, and guys from Gold Team come, "Hey man, what's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know. You could tell me what's going on." I'm like, "I literally have no idea."
Yeah, what's that conversation like when you leave that room with your buddies? Do you all huddle up and say, "All right, does anybody have any guesses where we're going, what this is?"
Yeah, the guys that were in the room started talking about it, but again, the guys that weren't in the room were talking about it too. And we started making jokes. We made a team acronym up of like the true tier 1 of the tier 1. And we had some of our bosses say, "Look, these are also tier 1 operators. You don't talk to them like that." I'm like, "Why? We have no idea what we're doing. You're not." maybe they're not good enough. Why are you sending us? What the fuck are we doing? There was animosity the entire time. We knew this was going to be a really life-changing mission. Nothing's going to be the same after this. We just don't know what it is yet.
Was it true that certain people passed on the mission and said, "Hey, that's true"? Okay.
When they brought it up and we assumed it was Gaddafi, there was some guy, because we just finished a combat deployment and we had another one coming up in a year. So guys were saying, "Okay, I've got to have that shoulder surgery, so I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to pull myself off." And the bosses would say, "Yeah, this is a volunteer mission, no big deal. Okay, I'm going to pull myself off because I'm running a trip, and okay, I'm going to go down to Green Team and I'm going to be an instructor. So I'm going to be with my kids for another year." And these are guys legitimately pulling themselves off the Bin Laden raid, not knowing it's the Bin Laden raid.
And have you talked to them afterward?
Yeah,
and did they regret it?
They're very disgruntled. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I mean, imagine, because even when we finally found out this is Bin Laden, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to die. The response of looking at your brothers is like, "Cool, we going now?" Because I mean, imagine knowing what it's going to be and then pulling yourself off. I couldn't live with myself. Like I'm going to go. I'm going to go tonight, and I'm going to die with you, and that's why I joined. What an ending,
man. That's wild. And do you think that haunts them the rest of their lives?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's no. The Bin Laden raid was the best thing and the worst thing we ever did. Not just as Navy SEALs, but I think as a lot of the Tier 1 special forces, because it was. Here's 23 of the best guys, and that's the best. The rest you can go fuck yourselves. If you live, good job. If you don't, whatever. And even to the point where like, why didn't Delta Force go? I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, was Delta Force not as good? I'm like, I think they're better. I don't know. I don't know why I'm going. I don't know, but I'm fucking going.
For that particular kind of operation, Delta, you would think would be the number one option.
Yeah, you would think Delta would go.
If there was some kind of sea, like water egress, ingress.
No, this was straight up land.
Yeah, I mean,
and Army pilots.
Yeah, very interesting.
I think the only reason, and I've said this before in different ways, and I'm not trying to get in trouble. I think the only reason they sent us at SEAL Team 6 and not Delta is because we're gonna kill them. And it's nothing against tactics, it's nothing against pilots, it's nothing against in and out. It's because we're gonna fucking kill this dude. Because Delta, just to me, are just really good dudes, and maybe they'll capture him. We're not gonna.
I mean, they captured Saddam.
SEAL Team 6 is gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah.
And again,
which is probably why they sent Delta after Saddam, to be honest, instead of definitely.
And I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm not trying to be a dickhead here. And Delta Force is the fucking best. Insane. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying someone made a decision at some point why SEAL Team 6 is going in.
And
I would love to have heard that conversation.
I would too,
because I'm sure it was wild. Like, I mean, to be honest, there's probably only a couple of people in the room that would have even known the actual capabilities of these units. You know how it is. Like at the Pentagon, it's a bunch of fucking nerds, and you might have a general or two who's been in a gunfight.
Who's been in a gunfight before. But I mean, again, you got to figure too. The only difference between us and Delta was a couple dudes getting into helicopters where professional pilots are going to fly you in. So TF-160 is flying in, no doubt about it. You're going to win. Who's on the plane?
And when you're at that model house that's in, again, my guess was Area 51. I don't know if that's real. I don't know if it's not. Let's say it is. When you get to that model house, do you guys still not know when you're training in this house who you're going after?
We knew when we went to, there's a base in North Carolina they drove us to, and that's where we met the Bin Laden team for the CIA, and they were women. There was like 4 women and 1 dude. And
it's the same women that
protected Trump?
No, when you're if you have female friends and they have that one girlfriend who can find anybody on the internet, it's one of them.
Okay.
They all work at the agency.
Because we were at a point where we would actually joke with each other about Bin Laden. Legit SEAL Team 6. I was running outstations, senior list advisor for all this bullshit, and for the point of going across border finding Bin Laden, but we knew he was a ghost. We knew he's not real anymore. He might be dead. I don't know. And they would start running. So we're on these bases, and they would roll in people called chiefs of base and then chiefs of station, which are CIA assets. But we got to this point of the war where someone from Peru or Chile needed to get advanced. So instead of being in Buenos Aires, they're going to send you to JBAD and whatever. And I remember working with CIA guys like. There's no reason to make movies about you. You guys are horrible. You and NCIS fucking suck. Then we met the Bin Laden team. okay, that's the fucking CIA. Holy shit. And to the point where when these women were explaining to us when they found it, because we first went into this room and they closed the door and locked it. The commanding officer of SEAL Team 6 came up and said, all right, gentlemen, for the first time, the reason you're here is the first time, this is as close as we've ever been to Osama bin Laden. And to hear him say Osama bin Laden, and this woman, Maya, stood up and I'm getting goosebumps right now. She started explaining to us about this place called Abbottabad, Pakistan, why it's called Abbottabad, who it was named after. And then she walked us into how she found him, decades of tracking him. She was explaining us to a point of how we finally go, I believe you. Mm-hmm. I don't need to hear anymore. I'm ready. I'm ready to go now. I've got a gun and a sledgehammer. That's how smart I am. And then we would train on this shit. They gave us tactical advantage of, okay, you guys come up with the best way to go, whatever. And we would train on this shit, talk about this shit, train for hours and hours all day long. And as soon as we got done working, and we're going to go get 4 hours of sleep, she would come over and say, all right, gentlemen, Osama bin Laden's on the 3rd floor of this house right now. I don't understand why we're not leaving. Have a good night. Get some sleep. See you tomorrow. Same thing the next day. And we train, and she was with us every single time. And she's like, he's right there.
So that whole like
right
from the Zero Dark 30 movie, which took some, as Hollywood does, took some liberties, right? One of the scenes over and over is her drawing the fucking number of days it's been since we identified him.
Same thing, yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
This is how many days it's been since I found this asshole. Why is he still alive?
Literally, he's right there.
Yeah. That's from from other dudes who were on the raid. That's the one thing from the movie that they all agree actually happened. That she was a fucking asshole to all of her bosses until they find. Well, not that,
no.
And I don't mean that in a negative way.
No,
like that's her fucking job.
She was determined.
She was so good at that shit. When I think when Leanne Panetta asked her, like, sat her down and said, "What else do you do for the agency?" And she said, "Nothing. I do nothing else. I do this." Almost like, why aren't you listening to me? I saw her right before we left. Like, so we got a brief from Bill McRaven, Salt of the Earth guy, and I'm walking out to the Bird. Just called my dad. I'm wearing my shit. I'm going to die. And I saw her and she was pacing. And I said, "What? Why are you so nervous?" And she looked at me and goes, "You fucking kidding me? Why aren't you nervous?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Because I do this every night. I get on a helicopter. I fly somewhere. I fuck with some people. I come home. This is just a longer flight. Of course, you got to be right. See you in 3 hours."
But in the movie, at least, and then, you know, the rumors you heard, it was kind of her obsession, her life's obsession, and rightfully so. It had to be somebody's obsession. If it wasn't her, do you think we would have ever got him?
No. Absolutely not. No, he was her
or
obsession.
maybe there would have been another version of her, but without that person, whomever it happened to be. No, it doesn't happen.
No. And she was neurotic.
I mean, it took us 10 years.
Yeah.
But she was right for 5 years before that. Like, she's literally like...
And looking back on it, do you think that's why she explained every single detail over the years to let you know,
yes,
hey, I'm this bitch and I'm going to fucking...
She was 100% right about every single person in every single room in that fucking house.
Yeah.
100% right.
By the way, in my experience, most of the people who are particularly good at that job, what she does, like creating targeting packages, I don't know, maybe you've had a different experience, but they're all women. Always.
Oh, yeah.
Shannon Kent is the best probably that's ever done that job in the history of the U.S. military.
Sarah Carter. Like,
Sarah Carter.
She's a
fucking Maya.
The greatest targeter.
I mean, like everyone that we know, every targeter that we know, and a couple of my friends that I know, all the women that I know.
Well, they got to be women because they just can't fucking let it go.
Yeah. But for real, like I've got a couple of other friends that did that in the agency as well, all women. I've never met a dude. I know there are dudes who have done it, but all the ones that I know about, the ones that there are books and movies about, are all women.
Why are they so good at that?
He just said it. They're fucking relentless, dude.
But
like dudes will get distracted. A fucking hot girl in a skirt will walk by. We're like, oh fuck yeah, dude.
when we showed her Bin Laden's body, literally the point man and I walked her over to his body, and it's sinking in. This is historic. This is what. And she fucking found him. She gave up her life. And then I got to think of something cool to say. And I'm putting all this pressure on myself because Bin Laden's dead right here. We're in J-Bed. I walked her over to the body and I was like, okay, what do I say? This would be cool enough. I pointed down. I had my arm around her. I pointed down. I said, "Is that your guy?" And all she said was, "I guess I'm out of a fucking job," and literally left and flew home. Like, didn't even fuck this guy.
No
fuck
way.
Him. Left.
And have you talked to her since?
Yeah, I saw her one time. I was a Redskins fan before they creeped out.
Got gay, you mean? Yeah.
And I was in New York, and I invited her because the Redskins just drafted RG3, and I was in New York. I'm going to a bar. I'm with my cousin Corey, our cousin Corey, and I said, "Hey," I invited her. I said, "Maya's coming over," and I said to my cousin Corey, "Hey, this woman's coming. He's a tax attorney. Not important to the story. Don't say a fucking word about the mission." This is like 2 years after the mission.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say a word about, because here's the woman that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, here she comes. Shit. So I stood up. I gave her a kiss on the cheek, and she sat down. She goes, "Does he fucking know?" And I said, "He knows everything." Good. Now we can talk about anything. Shots.
Really?
Yeah, just that's how cool she is. Like everyone knows fucking.
And was she able to move on with her life? Because
I have no idea. It's the last time I saw her.
What do you do when you obsess about something for so long?
Anything you want. And I've told people I'm never going to describe what she looks like. I won't say her name. But if you find her and you're hiring, hire her. You'll win. I don't give a shit what you're doing. She will make you win.
That's wild. Because you always wonder if it's like an athlete, especially with you guys, if it's like an athlete, when you can't do it anymore and you don't have that thing, that obsession, and it's gone, and then boom, you're back in the real world, hanging out in New York at whatever restaurant you went to that night. And then how are you supposed to have a normal night just chilling out having shots?
Well, it's a little bit more problem. Like when you're hitting a baseball or tackling people, sure, you miss the camaraderie quite a bit, I would imagine, right? Mm-hmm. And that's your identity as a human being. I'm sure it's tough, but when your job is to kick people's doors down and fuck them up, you know, there's no rec league for that I can get. Like, I can't.
Hey, I'm gonna go to the Y real quick. It's Thursday.
Yeah, there's like, it's just like
some of those white kids.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna go fuck people's nights up tonight. You know what I mean? There's just no version of that you can do in sweatpants, unfortunately. You know what I mean?
They do that in KC League basketball and BU, but it's a little bit different.
Well, people get mugged a little bit, probably. Yeah, but like, it's just that's not a thing, dude. You know what I mean? So, I remember, and the time we talk about this all the time, but the time between me being on the street in Sadr City, Iraq, and being on the street at Fort Bragg, North Carolina was 3 days. I was driving around in my car. Like, that's stupid. They should keep us on an island somewhere for like a month, smoking weed or something, drinking Mai Tais, calming the fuck down.
The difference between driving. I remember my first time coming back home with Emma was 3. And I'm driving from Dam Neck to home, and I've been living in J-Bad, and just driving. Now I'm home, 100 miles an hour on the other side of the highway, just whatever. And I remember my wife saying, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I'm like, "Oh, me, nothing's wrong with me. You're safe."
Yeah.
Well, how do you dissociate yourself from coming back from a combat situation, Sadr City, and then?
Well, I said I was a Redskins fan.
Oh, well, then.
Yeah.
I think a lot of dudes get in trouble.
Well, that's how you get in trouble.
Yeah, that's mostly how you get in trouble. And if you get in just enough trouble to wake you up and not so much that you fuck your life up, then that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm driving home from work one day down Yadkin Road at Bragg, and some dude cuts me off in traffic, and I follow him into a parking lot of a fucking grocery store and pull him out of his window and slap the shit out of him. And I'm like, oh boy, I better get out of here.
Yeah, that does not fly in the real world.
This is a white man. I can't do this shit. But yeah, I think it's like that for a bunch of dudes, and most guys don't want to. They don't want to get in trouble, so what they do is abuse themselves. You know what I mean? They're not going to self-flagellate. This isn't corporal mortification. We're not all Catholic, I guess, so we just drink and do drugs mostly.
Sure, and we know what you guys do now, but what does Maya do now then?
Drink and do drugs.
Does she have a corporate job? Does she
you know
work
what?
for IBM?
I honestly don't know. I heard she moved to New York and is working for somebody, but I don't know, and I can't get an answer. But like I said, if anyone's listening that can hire her.
Look, we're hiring at Hard AF Seltzer, so if you want to pop on down, Maya, we're looking for a CEO right now.
Yeah,
so.
and I'm just saying, too, if she does call, I do know her real name, but I just promise you I'd never say it.
We'll start.
And by the way, she doesn't look like Jessica Chastain, just as hot, just looks different.
Okay, fair enough.
I think that's a fair way to describe her.
And then, Tommy, I wanted to have you on the show today because this is your brother.
Yes.
And it's one of those things where your brother killed the biggest terrorist in the world. When did you find out?
It was a couple years after. I mean,
Rob didn't tell you?
I thought I called you right away, like I called everyone else.
It wasn't right away, but I mean, I was aware that you were on the mission, which was a story in itself. But just coming back and finding out that you were I mean, we were joking about it. It's like, I bet that little bitch was the one who pulled the fucking trigger.
But Tommy, there's no text message from you or a call saying, "Hey, dude, I know you were on this team. Was it you?"
It was after it came around, but he didn't come around and say, I was the man who pulled the trigger. I mean, I remember just going back to the on May, when probably the longest hour of my life when Obama came. We knew that. I remember watching the Celtics, and I think it was the Miami Heat in the playoffs. And I took my daughter to Fairmont, and she was getting changed. It was a swimming place, and the crawler on the TV came and said Osama bin Laden has been killed. And I mean, that was, I thought I didn't say anything about casualties, about getting the Americans.
How messed
died.
up is that too? Because we don't know how many Americans were killed.
I knew you were there, and I didn't. But I took. We went to our grandmother's house, drove back to Butte. It was probably about another 90 minutes before Obama came on, and then he took his damn sweet time in saying that
Americans were killed.
Yeah. So I mean, I knew then that he was part of the mission, but I didn't did not know probably a good couple years later until he said, "Yeah, I was the one who was there," and I pulled the trigger.
And what's that like as a brother? Is there a sense of pride, a sense of shock?
Extreme, shocking. Well, I mean, I wasn't shocked at all, because I mean, he told me about some of the stuff he'd done prior to that, and I was amazed at what they did as a team and as a unit. But when to find out that my little brother was the guy who shot the biggest terrorist in the world, absolutely, I was proud.
Because then it lives with you the rest of your life.
Oh yeah,
and it's hey, that's my brother. Holy shit, that's crazy. And it's something you got to live with. And I remember watching, I believe it was 60 Minutes. There was another guy who was in a disguise, kind of showing a model of the house and everything else. He had written a book. He got around $10 million for it. What was his name?
He wrote the book under the name Mark Owen.
Yes, correct.
And again, my wife's going to...
Bissonette, you talking about?
I'm not going to say his name because he doesn't want his name out there, but...
Mark Owen was the guy, the character name they put on screen.
Yeah. Now, in his defense, like I said, my wife's going to kill me. The guy was there on the mission, and he was a stud operator. He's misguided with what he said for some reason. But he wrote a book called No Easy Day, and it was the Pentagon sued him back because it was a lie.
Yeah, for the exact dollar amount, so he got nothing for it, essentially. Now... To my recollection, because I read the book, he didn't say he shot bin Laden.
No, he said he shot bin Laden. He never said he killed bin Laden.
Correct.
And I don't know how many guys shot bin Laden. You're going to need the government to release the autopsy. I killed bin Laden. I shot him thrice in the face. If he was shot afterward, hey, it is what it is.
I can't, as somebody who's been in a number of gunfights, the argument over who shot who where in a room like that is just so fucking gay and banal to me. I can't entertain it. I just can't.
And it happens to you every single day of your life, because obviously you've been on our network for years.
Yeah.
We've been friends for years in real life. There's probably one comment every fucking day about it that, he's a liar or whatever. It was this other guy or this other guy. What's your response to that?
It doesn't matter. The team, we agree the team went in. Like we agree that, like, even if I was just a guy at SEAL Team 6 that got picked to be on the raid, the top 23 guys in the fucking country,
world,
then that's
who else?
That's not good enough.
There's not another tier one unit on Earth.
I'm just saying. I'm telling you what happened. I shot bin Laden, I killed him. It's not like I've never tried to say I was brave. I followed the appointment up the stairs. He was brave. I was like, let's get it over with. I'm gonna go in this room. I'm gonna blow up. Boom. I didn't. Now what? That's it. And the other shit's semantic. Sometimes it entertains me because it really doesn't matter to me. And
I've just heard so many of these conversations from door kickers like, oh, I got him. No, it was me. I'm like, all right, cool, man. He's dead.
It doesn't matter.
Like, I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. I will not. I refuse to listen to those conversations. It's the dumbest shit of all time. Who fucking cares? Were you in that room? Then I'll listen to what you have to say. If you weren't, then shut the fuck up.
What I would say about the bin Laden raid too is, okay, so we agree there were shooters there, fine. Talk to the pilots. Those guys are the fucking heroes. They got us. Talk to the crew chief that opened the fucking door, man.
I mean, they almost went full Gothic Serpent or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Or what? Not Gothic Serpent.
Gothic Serpent was in Somalia. Yeah.
No. Well, that was bad too. I'm thinking about the Delta raid in Iran. What was that one? Fuck, I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
But they tried to fly these. They tried to land. They did, I guess, land these modified C-130s in the desert. And as soon as they turned them back on to fucking exfil out of there, they just a bunch of sand goes into the engines, blows them up. Fucking like 9 tier 1 operators die. It was a fucking shit show.
You know one of the best stories I heard of that mission? Because they had, well, that's why JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command, was formed, because there's so many different elements doing whatever.
Yeah, Charlie Beckwith led the charge on all that shit.
But what he said was some of the Delta guys were sleeping on a C-130 or whatever, and they're in the desert, and it's shaking because they're trying to take off whatever right before they crash, and something happened, and a bunch of the Delta guys started running off the back of the thing, and this Delta guy woke up, and he assumed they were skydiving, so he just jumped out right into the dirt. And they're like, what are you doing? Like, well, I saw you guys jump, and I assumed we were skydiving. He goes, well, you don't have a parachute. And he's like, yeah, I was going to figure that out on the way down.
Eagle Claw. That's it.
Eagle Claw. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just following my boys, boy.
One story that Dan's told on the show for a couple years that I wanted to confirm with you is that originally the mission was supposed to happen on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
But Obama had the White House Correspondents' Dinner,
yeah.
and then pushed the mission a day, which actually fucked up the weather pattern for that one helicopter.
The lie was the weather pattern, because we told him, because we got the green light on Friday, and then we've got 48 hours of 0% illumination, because we want to hit them at 0% illum, because obviously whatever. And so Saturday rolls around, and we realize it's the Correspondents' Dinner, so our boss called them and said, hey, weather's shitty over here in Afghanistan, Pakistan, so we're going to go tomorrow. And I guess Obama, I wasn't there, but he said, yeah, it's 2011. I know what the fucking weather is. Why aren't you going? Like, well, sir, it's the Mr. President's Correspondents' Dinner. Fine. And I guess the only cool person there, the whole thing, because everyone else like, yeah, fine, whatever, was Hillary Clinton. Because she allegedly said, oh, fuck the press. Go kill this dude.
Really?
Yeah, and because Hillary's got some kills. So that's good.
No shit. Yeah, well, I mean...
Yeah, she might be. She might be ahead of.
Dude, I'm telling you, I would never vote for her, but I will fight right next to her in a foxhole. Yeah. She will kill.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Her politics. I don't even care if her politics sucks. The way she keeps herself in power, I'll go to. I'll not toe to toe with her. I'll go toe to her next to her.
Okay, and looking at that photo, that's legendary. Obviously, is inside the war room there as they're watching the mission happen.
That picture is awesome, because that's not actually the Situation Room. That's next to the Situation Room. And
really,
and General Webb is the 1-star general in there. So they're in the
I don't think we've ever seen a picture inside the Situation Room. There's a bunch of classified shit in there.
Yeah, but the way it works though is so as you go in there, the Situation Room's here. There's a front desk here. The secondary room is here. General Webb's over here running this feed. And the president's over here, they can't get it. General Webb has it, and he calls them all in. Hey, I got the feed up. So that's why President Obama's in the back. And General Webb was like, hey, do you want, Mr. President, do you want my seat? He goes, no, I'll sit back here. So he pulled out a folding chair. So he's sitting in this $15 chair, and Hillary Clinton gets up front, and they're all watching. That's when we crashed. And the reason that's so cool is because Bill McRae, and again, I can't say enough good about him. When they crashed, I was in the other bird, he said, obviously there's been a contingency, but my men are trained to handle this. No big deal. Knowing that the White House being scared right now is not going to help what's happening on the ground, I need to calm them the fuck down. They're fine. He's like, I didn't even know if you guys lost half the team.
As I said, in the room watching the shit go down, he might have been the only one that's ever been in a fucking gunfight to be honest.
So the look on their faces was probably genuine then?
100% genuine. That was not staged.
And are they watching it live, or is it a delayed feed?
They're watching about 5 seconds behind at 30,000 feet.
And at what moment did they realize that he was dead, and was there a code that went out to them?
When he said Forgotten Country, Geronimo EKA. So Geronimo was the pro word for we just found bin Laden. It wasn't his name. We would never insult the warrior Chief Geronimo like that. We were Red Squadron, SEAL Team 6, so we would use pro words as an honorary term, be it Crazy Horse or Geronimo or Chief Joseph or whatever, just to say, hey, I'm here. So when I say this, I'm there. So Geronimo meant I'm at bin Laden. When we say EKIA, that means enemy killed in action.
Phase lines, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm
just telling you
you have a list of 10 objectives you got to hit. right? You get offset, infill, you walk, or whatever that happens to be. Each one of them will have a name. I'm sure you've seen it on fucking war movies.
And it's just
shit.
so when I'm walking up to a target and I'm 20 minutes out and I say Jester, that you'll just know here I am.
Yeah.
His target name was Cake Bread.
Cake bread?
Cake Bread.
Why cake bread?
I am assuming the woman that found him loved cake bread.
What the fuck is cake bread?
Wine. I'm dead serious. I don't know if it was Maya, but someone named him Cake Bread.
Wait, what? Cake bread is what?
Wine. Objective Cake Bread was Bin Laden. Operation Neptune Spear was the operation, but he was Objective Cake Bread.
So cake bread is a brand of wine. You're saying? I've never even heard of that.
A really good wine.
Oh,
Yeah, do you know that, Jesse? Is that? Oh,
I never even heard of that.
Yeah, we got one woman in the room. She's like, oh, yeah, I know what that
There's
is.
literally
Yeah.
a woman in the room right now. What the fuck, guys?
I've got a lot of wine. I've never heard of cake bread before. What kind of?
wild.
What do they specialize in?
It's like a red, delicious cherry-ish.
Was that what they celebrated with back?
Again, I don't know.
Really?
But it was cake. But Geronimo, and it was funny when the liberal media found out that, they called him Geronimo. They're like, they're insulting Native. No, we're not insulting Native Americans. It's an honor.
It's an obscad,
I'm here with
motherfucker.
Chief Geronimo.
Yeah.
Here we are on top of the fucking mountain.
And when you bring the body back and you talk to Maya and then it's over with, where do you go from there?
Well,
do you guys have beers?
Did you pull any pranks? Did you weekend at Bernie's?
Yeah, just put Vaseline on the toilet seat.
When we got back, we went to JBAD. So we flew into JBAD, and so the way it worked was we had to blow up one of our helicopters. The first team got on our helicopter. The second bird came in with more Army dudes that rescued us, which no one talks about, which blows my mind. SEAL Team 6 and the Army rescued SEAL Team 6.
What was it, Rangers?
It was what, sorry?
Who was it, Rangers or some shit? Are you talking about just
there were some Rangers,
160?
Blue Team, SEAL Team 6 guys, and then TF-160. And then we had more 47s behind us. And a whole bunch of dudes rescued us. I think that's so cool. Yeah. And no one talks about it.
and shit hooks too? They're loud. They're loud as fuck, man.
So So we're literally flying out
Like
in
you come in all subtle, and then although the CH-47 Chinook is the fastest.
It's faster than shit.
Rotary ring
However,
we
it's
have.
got to get in the air.
Yeah, it's gotta get in the
we
air.
almost shot it out of the sky because, like I mentioned, we didn't have Air Force guys, with us, which means we didn't have our. So we got to blow up the super secret bird inside. So we go outside. We've got the charge on this bird. And whatever. And I remember looking at one of the guys going, what's the time on that fuse? They go, 30 seconds. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, get out of here. Yeah.
Abort. So the 47 turns this way. This thing blows up. It's like, we almost fucking killed them. And then this motherfucker's out here tweeting. This Pakistani's tweeting. It's like, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. So we finally leave. We fly down to Jalalabad, Afghanistan. We get out there. And that was actually the coolest part. When we get over there and the Army lands us, Bill McRaven's there, Admiral McRaven's there, and he's like the dad. And we all are around Bin Laden's body. And someone said, hey, man, do you want to meet the guy that killed Bin Laden? He goes, yeah, I do. And so he came over to me, and he put his hand on me like this, and we had this minor debrief. We're looking at Bin Laden's body, and that's when he laid down the sniper next to him so we could tell President Obama how tall he was and all this bullshit, and we're just kind of having a laugh. Then we put him on a C-130. Maya left. We flew up to Bagram, and then they're doing the checks on his body, and they're going through all the bullshit and whatever. And everything was fine, but then once we started talking about what actually happened, that kind of shit went sideways. And then we're like, we got to find the Seabees because they have beer, they have whiskey, they have pizza.
Yeah.
So we went there, and then we started seeing the news articles on Yahoo, like SEAL Team 6 did whatever. And that's when you can feel the weirdness, like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like we were so good at killing terrorists, but now we just killed the number one terrorist. We're going to hate each other.
Really?
Yeah.
And was it actually Obama on the phone?
Yeah, they had Obama on the phone. He was funny about the tape measure because he said, "Let me get the." So we just laid down a sniper next to him who's 6'2". He's 2 inches taller, so this has got to be Bin Laden. And he goes, "So let me get this straight. You can destroy one of our $150 million aircraft. You can't afford a $3 tape measure."
That's what he said on the phone?
And then he actually, when Bill McRaven retired, he sent his personal assistant down to Texas to give him a plaque with a tape measure on it. Like, congratulations, here's your fucking tape measure.
Fuck up.
Obama was pretty funny about that stuff. And he was, I'll be honest, man, fuck politics. He was Southside Chicago, bad motherfucker. Like, he was going to send us everything. And my boys are not surrendering to Pakistan. We're going to fuck them up. We're going to try to sneak in, but if we can't, scorched earth, motherfucker.
What happened in Benghazi then?
I'm gonna
Same dude in office.
Yeah, different animal. I mean, it's I wish I had an answer. I wasn't there for that. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's tough because you're trying to take politics out of, especially with what's going on right now in the debates and everything else, and the hatred in the country and the division. But you do try to take politics out of it for, let's say, that night, right? You had a great moment with him. It was a cool story and everything else. And then boom, something else goes sideways and you're like, where the fuck were you then and why?
Well, they're running guns out of Libya.
Yeah, that's been going on since the 80s. Like that shit Ollie North went to jail for, it hasn't stopped. We just keep doing that shit. I mean, come on.
But I mean, this one was so much different. The Benghazi thing was a way, way bigger animal.
Yeah.
This is a one mission in Pakistan. And I'm not trying to stand up for Obama or Bush or Trump. I'm just saying our government fucking sucks and sometimes it get caught.
Yeah.
And with you personally, you said you knew as soon as it leaked or that it got out that it was SEAL Team 6 that you guys would hate each other immediately. How long until that set in that there was division and...
Well, we had one good night because we flew back. The ground force commander pulled the point man and me, and that's the point man, the guy that led me up this set of stairs, and I was right behind him. And the point man was pissed because he was asking me where the fuck was everyone. I'm like, dude, we were just thin. We're just thin. We're 23 guys, man. We're out of guys, whatever. But we got back, and the ground force commander pulled me and the point man in, and he brought out some whiskey and said, "Hey guys, great job on that floor." And we're like, "Fuck yeah!" I mean, we're not looking for celebration, but awesome. And then we got back on the bird. We flew to Oceana, direct flight from Afghanistan to Oceana, and then Blue Squadron was there. And so we were Red Squadron, they were Blue Squadron. They pulled up in these buses with pizzas and beers and whatever. We rolled back to SEAL Team 6. We walked upstairs, and my former troop chief was there, and he brought out, with a buddy of mine from Blue Squadron, this big bottle of Johnny Walker Blue Label. And he goes, "Hey, man, I bought this a long time ago, and I was saving it for a special event. I think this might be it." And he cut the Johnny Blue, and we kind of sat around, had pizza, and then we bullshitted. Then we all went to the Ready Room, which is a bar. And if you've ever seen the Rob Riggle skit,
Rob Riggle?
Fucking shot me,
Yeah.
So that's what happened that night, like 100%. Like, so no one's going to say a word, right? Right. And then he goes, and it went off the rails. And I remember literally drinking with my friends or whatever, and even Mark Owen, how he said he went there and he left and went to Taco Bell, just sitting there in a parking lot and eating a taco. Like, we're gonna be friends forever. Okay, no, we're not. Tomorrow's gonna suck, and then tomorrow started to suck. It was. I think it was too much pressure to put on guys at that level, because most of the guys with whom I've served are guys that don't want to be known. Mm-hmm. These are dudes, like when people start name dropping guys in the Bin Laden raid, and I kind of laugh about myself. It's like, stop mentioning these other dudes because they're not as funny as me. And they're going to fucking show up at your house. You say their name, they're going to show up. Trust me, you would rather me show up at your house than the point man. Not a good fucking day for you. And it kind of just turns into one of these things where a lot of guys don't want to be known, but
and you understand it, right? You got kids,
100%, man.
Like, this is going to follow you the rest of your life, and it's a big decision to come out and say you did this. It would be so
much easier to live my life knowing there's not a threat looking for me right now. So much easier.
So what made you decide to come out and say...
my name immediately came out. As soon as, on the third floor of that house, as soon as it came out, guys around the house were asking who got him. And it was actually a funny story because my name was Nizro. Mm-hmm. Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill, Nizro, NSR, Nizro. And I would hear people talking like, because everyone on the second floor was like, who got him? Nizro. Like, oh, fuck, we're never going to hear the end of this. And so then we got back to JBAD, then we went to Bagram, and then dudes from the White House were calling me like, yeah, man, they just said that it was you. And I'm like, all right. And then it's one of those moments too when I get back, it's more, I can put my head in the sand and pretend people don't know that I killed bin Laden, mm-hmm. or I can admit it and keep guns in my house.
Yeah.
It's not fun. Trust me. This isn't a fun deal.
And to this day, has there been any threats against you or your family?
Yeah, there's been a ton of threats.
And is anything credible?
Well, there was a few women that were ISIS brides that the government hit with drones that I think is awesome. I think it's dope that a woman's scorn got destroyed by our government. That's pretty cool.
And it was because of you, and they were coming after you?
Allegedly, yeah.
Allegedly.
And then we had a couple just get arrested for going after our dad.
After your father?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's not cool.
I don't think they want that smoke. You show up in Butte, Montana, trying to start some shit, you're gonna get fucked up, dude, and nobody will ever hear about it either. You're gonna end up getting served as a pork chop at that fucking pork chop sandwich.
You got a big pit and a lot of guns.
Yeah, because you got kids. You know, you got a life and everything else. I'm assuming they go to normal schools and all that. I won't say where you live. Any fear that's, you get the call from the school one day that somebody's going after a child?
Well, I homeschool, and my kids know how to use guns, and that's all I can ask for.
What if your wife just started beating them up?
Yeah.
Then they probably deserve it.
If my wife starts beating up my kids, they fucking deserve it.
Yeah, they had it coming.
Jessica's had enough of me.
Yeah, she's probably just taking it out on them at that point. Yeah.
But I've seen her. She can outshoot me, and she can chug a beer faster than me. So I'm not really worried about Jess.
Well, then you're good to go. Yeah, you're good to go there.
And she makes beautiful kids.
Yeah. And you got a new one?
Yeah, Valor's 6 months old.
6 months old.
I just talked to her this morning, and she's adorable. I can smell her little hair through the FaceTime. She's the cutest damn thing in the world.
I saw you guys on the beach a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, I take her swimming because I want her to understand that all my daughters.
Wait, are you having her fucking do log sit-ups in the fucking wake or what?
No, we do shark appreciation clubs. Just because the great white's there doesn't mean it's going to hurt you. Just respect it and look at it or whatever. Because we swim at Cape Cod all the time. There's great whites all over the place, but great whites are your friend, man. They're polite.
That's what every SEAL says, and no, I'm not going to do that.
Well, I've never been attacked by one.
Well, you haven't, but down in Padre on 4th of July, 2 of those fuckers. Man, looking at those on
were not
Twitter.
Great whites.
Oh, they were not?
No, they're bulls.
Okay.
Bulls give everyone a bad rep, too.
A chunk of leg out.
Bulls give tiger sharks a bad name. Tiger sharks are friendly, too. Tiger sharks, the way I love giving sharks different personalities. Mm-hmm. Like a great hammerhead is a really smart shark that swims low. A reef shark is a puppy. A bull shark is a dick. A tiger shark is like when you're in high school and there's that one fat drunk cheerleader. That's a tiger shark. Like she's goofy. I'm still gonna party with her.
Yeah.
And then a great white's just polite. Tommy, right? You've dated some tiger sharks.
Yeah, Tommy. Is Tommy wearing a ring?
They weren't as polite. No. Much bigger fins. They could rip off a big old piece of meat. I don't know.
And then since it is 9/11, obviously everybody asks you to do something. I would imagine every single year, some events. You were gracious enough to come down here to Dallas.
Don't thank me. Thank Creed, baby.
Because we're going to see Creed tonight.
So excited. I swear to God, look, someone said, yeah, they're playing new shit. No, I don't want to hear any of your new shit. All of the old school shit.
All the hits.
With Arms Wide Open, I want to hear Just an Illusion. Come on.
One Last Breath.
Yes.
Sacrifice. I want to hear Freedom Fighter off of the Weathered album. I know we're not going to hear it.
Oh my God, you just dorked the fuck out. I love this.
Tonight's the night to ask.
Well,
we're going to chat with them before they come on stage. I would say, look, guys, if you haven't made your set list, I got one request.
I'm going to pull a.
And you say, hey, my brother killed me live. We got to do it today. Like today's the one ask of all days.
I'm not trying to put any pressure on you, Scott.
Play Maxwell Silverhammer. That's the Beatles, sir. Whatever. I didn't ask who wrote it.
I don't care, all right? You're going to play. You're going to play fucking Beatles tonight.
It's 9/11.
You make them play the entire White Album tonight? Just sitting on the apron of the stage.
I will write a check for $1 million if Creed plays nothing but the White Album tonight.
Do you think they know it?
No, I wrote it.
Mark Tremonti, here's where I'm going to geek out. One of the best guitar players out there today. I mean, but his work in Creed and Alter Bridge is amazing. I can't wait to see him.
Yeah, I'm amped. They've been on fire this entire tour. Every single show has been sold out to the point where I was telling Dan last night, they've had to add more dates. So, I mean, you're looking at a 20,000-seat arena we're going to tonight, and this is scheduled all the way through the end of the year, virtually every single night. So they're back, and I'm excited to see them looking at pictures online and all that other stuff. They all still look great. They all still look the same, sound the same. So
I saw a video of their tour opener. I think it was in Minneapolis. They're on fire, man.
Oh, man, I can't wait. I can't wait. Now's the point in the show. We get to the Drinkin' Bro of the Week. Rob, you've been on many times. Who would you like to give the Drinkin' Bro of the Week to?
Can I give the Drinkin' Bro of the Week to Tom O'Neill?
Sure, your brother?
Yeah.
Right in front of him?
Right here.
I love it.
That's O'Neill with 2 L's, by the way.
It sure is.
And
Second L silent.
I'm gonna put him on spot if I might.
Sure.
Why should you be the Drinkin' Bro of the Week?
I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to defer this to you, my friend, my brother, for your service as a SEAL and as a warrior, and for everything that comes as a result of September 11th, 2001.
See, you're bringing this up because I've seen you in the shower and you're just a little bit longer than I am.
It's like a baby's arm holding an apple. It's thicker.
They make there's a stem cell shot for that now.
That's what I heard. A little late for Weinstein. If it
You're a little
only
late for
existed
him.
now, yeah. But everybody else, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
But was there ever a point where you saved his life or something growing up?
No, if anything, I was addicted.
Tell him about the time that you broke my ankle.
He was a total liability.
Oh, well, yeah. He'd spent, everyone, if he's read The Operator, has probably heard about the free throws that him and my father did. I mean, they spent that was part of the deal. Okay. They were doing, I mean, he had to, working on his vertical leap, practicing about 3 hours a day through the summer. And we're talking maybe 2 weeks before basketball tryouts.
You're talking about this white ginger?
He was.
What are you, a Hoosier?
NBA player? What are you?
He had moves. He was thinner. He was faster. He could shoot.
What the fuck did that mean?
So it's about 2 weeks before tryouts, and we go to the YMCA in Butte, and my fat ass gets underneath him. He comes down on my foot and just rolls the shit out of his ankle and just completely levels his sophomore year of basketball in high school. So that
We
was
won the title that year too. I was on the bench.
no, that was a different year. No, wait, that was 92. You're right.
Same year.
Bin Laden might still be alive if not for you not rolling his ankle though. So
Yeah.
he could have been in the NBA.
Yeah.
Instead.
And that's,
All because I can't jump or rebound.
Yeah.
it's because of you, Tommy. So, let's thank Tommy today.
I'll accept
Yeah.
this award. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say that to Scott Stapp tonight. Look, he's fine, but like it was me. I was.
It
the
was my
fucking dude.
sacrifice, motherfucker.
There it is. Nailed it. Gotta end the show on that. Gotta end the show on that. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Go to iTunes, rate the show a 5-star, and leave a quick review. Also, head on over to Spotify. It's just a 5-star, and you can walk away. Download the Operator podcast. You got an episode coming out today. Who is it? Yep.
I'm talking with Trevor Colt, who was awarded the Military Cross. He tells some great stories about, because it is 9/11, it's how 9/11 affected so many people. He's a dude from the UK, how he ended up in Iraq, Afghanistan, and just what happens mentally to people that are fighting over there. And it's a great interview. Check it out, the Operator podcast.
Cool.
It's the second best on the internet.
Awesome. It really is. It really is. After Drinkin Bros, you pop on the Operator podcast, you're good to go. And let's just try to remember who we were on that day afterwards. There was some breaking news that I'll report here right before we get off air. Trump, Kamala, and Biden were together today. They were shaking hands with one another. So kept it peaceful, even though the night after a contentious debate. And that was at least nice to see, to put politics aside for one day.
Do you think Biden smelled his hand after he shook the other person's hands?
I'm not sure if he knows he's alive.
I bet he sniffed it a little bit.
Yeah, probably just a tad.
Do you ever do that when you shake somebody's hand?
Give it a sniff?
Just right in front of them? It's an easy way to turn something good into something really bad.
Just awkward.
Yeah. Like snatch that moment of joy away from somebody.
God, I can't wait to meet Creed tonight.
He's sniffing hands. Tommy's sniffing hands tonight. Download the Operator podcast, everyone. Thanks for being here. For Anthony Holloway, Rob O'Neill, Tommy O'Neill, I'm Ross Patterson. This is the Drinkin Bros podcast.